Okay, it's very early on Sunday morning. I'm just going to do a little walk around of setup for a fantastic jazz group I've been working with this week called Ruby Rushton. It's not really anything crazy different from what I do with the setup, but if you haven't seen the other videos, you might enjoy this. So it's a really quick walkabout, and it's very early. So the noise you can hear is the air purifier going on before people arrive. Here's Tiger. He's obviously working hard. Let me walk you out into the main room. So this group is a four-piece. It's drums, keyboards, he's also playing bass, trumpet, and sax and flute. So if I walk you around here, the main thing with this setup is to have really good sight lines with everybody, because it's jazz and that's what they do. So it's really important. So trumpet, Nick is here, and as you can see, he can see through into the booth. He can see Aidan the pianist, and he's right next to Ed. He's the band leader who's playing sax and flute. And a lot of the stuff with horns, when they're playing like this, they're doing a lot of unison stuff, and they need to be able to hear each other in the room as much as on headphones, because so much of the intonation and the balance, I mean, you could record these guys with one mic 20 feet away and they'd sound great. They're that good. So yeah, on the trumpet we're using an R44. On the sax, Ed's playing a few different saxes. We've got he's playing alto primarily, some soprano, and also some flute. And I've got U47 up here, which is mainly for the flute, and the R44, which is mainly for the sax. We wanted a slightly thicker sound. It's quite easy for altos and sopranos to sound thin. The ribbon mic just sort of does a lot of that, so you don't need to do a huge amount afterwards at all. It sounds great. So that's that. There's also loads of percussion overdubs going on. And one thing we're doing with the percussion is an old trick I got from a great producer called Mike Vernon years ago, is to, if you're doing percussion overdubs or hand claps, even backing vocals, if it's a sort of a group kind of thing, is have people do them at their own their own mic, and it really, everything is different enough that it feels very organic and natural, as opposed to just having people grouped around a stereo pair in the main room. So yeah, that's cool. So over to Aidan's keyboard world, which is great. We've got Tom O'Grady's beautiful Fender Rhodes. Mine is out with a friend at the moment, and this one has been at the studio for a few years. This is just Mike with a pair of, I think they're Sennheiser 906s. We're taking the DI as well, which is, yeah, just into a standard DI box. We've got a Juno. We're using this guy for bass, which is fantastic. And the piano, the Bechstein. This is very stream of consciousness. I'm still tired. Bechstein, we were wondering about whether to do it closed or open. Ed decided we wanted to do it open. I've just got a pair of KM184s on there, and I've got the baffle over at the cover over, which is not doing a huge amount, but it's doing something. And what we found, which is what I was hoping for, is that the piano mics have become a huge part of the horn mic sound. So even on tracks where we've got Rhodes and left-hand bass and we're not recording the piano mics have been recorded, and they're adding this fantastic ambience to the percussion, to the flute especially, and to the trumpet. So that's worked really well. One thing we're doing with this, we're recording in Pro Tools, but if we need to do edits, we're pretty much taking sections of things. The drums are isolated, so we can do a few things there if we need to. There is enough isolation on various things, but it's really about taking sections if we need to do that, or drop in on things. Also the Rhodes, we've got some spill again onto the piano mics. It's just sort of gluing everything together. And when you've got a room that sort of works, it's really good to be able to use that to its best, really. Okay, so into the booth, and we've got Petra's beautiful Yamaha 9000 kit from the 90s, which is great, and fantastic musician Tim on drums. He's just wonderful. And again, this is pretty standard for what I would do. I recorded Tim last year. He had a different kit. It was a slightly tighter sound. This time they wanted something a bit more open. So we haven't got any damping on the toms. And again, it's just really simple. As far as I know, the plan is to mix this in Atmos. I might have gone with the Glyn Johns kind of setup for this because Aiden is so balanced. And that's sort of where you've got the overhead mics. One in this kind of position, another over there, and they're panned pretty much hard left and right. But my experience of using that in Atmos stuff is that it's not sort of quite glued enough, and I didn't really want to get into putting a sort of a center mic over the kit for this stuff. So yeah, we've gone with a more conventional kind of thing. These guys are equidistant from the snare and the kick. What else is going on? I'm using a 441 on the hi-hat. Again, for this stuff, I may want a little bit of definition on it, but I don't need the top end stuff coming off those. So that works great. Other stuff is just pretty standard for me. I've got a 414 on Omni pointing up in the roof, and I've got my usual 57 thing. Initially we had this in a little bit tighter. We were getting a bit more resonance off the toms than we wanted. There is quite a lot of ring from the toms when stuff is going on, but they're so beautifully tuned, and Tim plays in such a balanced way that it just enhances stuff. It just glues stuff. So that's great. What else? We're using mostly his stuff. We're using some of my snares. He's got my 400 up at the moment. We both have a K Constantinople fetish. I've had some of these cymbals for 20 years. So there's a mixture of things going on, but it sounds cool. So I'm going to walk you through into the control room. Oh, there's Tiger. He wants some more food. Here we go. I haven't tidied up from yesterday yet, so I'll be doing that soon. So yeah, let me turn this off. Here we go. Bit of silence. So we're using a lot of the Decca with the SSL, and it's just really simple. There's something about the valves and the transformers in this that you can just drive it and it sounds like a record. There's compression going on, but it's not, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel audible in terms of sort of, you know, gain reduction. It just feels fat and great. So anyway, Rhodes going through, pair of channels on here, overheads are going through here, sax and flute, trumpet, Rhodes DI. The EQ on here is so broad. I think it's like 100 Hertz and 8K, but they're really sweet and broad. You can sort of boost both and you just get this lovely bloom without it sort of just being more low end and more top end. It's a bit more, I don't know, it's much wider than that. I can't really describe it. It's audio, but it sounds great. Kick in and out coming up on here. There's a little bit of expansion going on the inside mic and some compression. The snare top and bottom, same with the top snare, some EQ going on there, plenty of EQ really. Those are also going out to a DBX 160, which is being recorded separately, so that's a bit of compression going on there. Toms, again, really simple. Overheads are, like I say, they're coming up on here. I'm doing a few little cuts. The booth, there's, for this session, there was a bit of stuff around 500, 700 that I just wanted to dip out. They're going through there. They're also coming through this beautiful EQ of Tim's. And I'm kind of doing more of the same. There's some 100, there's a dip at 500, there's quite a bit of 3K and a little bit of top end. So that's cool. What else? The booth room, that's going through the one side of the SSL stereo compressor, the quad compressor up there. The Versa mic, which is the 57, again, quite a bit of cuts on there and some low end, and that's going through one of these guys. I'm not slamming it, but it's just elongating the length of the kick, but it's got this great kind of knocking sound, so that's really nice. What else? Not a great deal. The bass is going through the other DBX 160. Again, it's not, you can't really see the meter moving. It's just let me show you the settings on there. It's really just sort of the yellow light almost dims, so you sort of hear it, which is how those sort of work. Yeah, flute, trumpet, sax, those guys are going through the R44 is going through this second esoteric audio research compressor, and the Trumpet is going through the LA3A, and that's sort of it. We've got a bit of the EMT plate in the shed for monitoring, but everything else is just really simple. So yeah, I'm gonna go and get a coffee, which I clearly need, and I hope this was cool. All right, see you next time.